Let me bring in now Jay Timmons. He is the CEO of the National Association of Manufacturers. Jay, it is great to see you, especially on set. I want to start here, Jay, maybe just kind of high level. I mean, you talk to so many manufacturers. What are you hearing, Jay? Do you hear, are they positive? Are they downbeat? What's the mood out there?
Well, there are 13,000 members of the National Association of Manufacturers, so I can tell you I hear a whole host of things. But generally speaking, over the course of the last several years, but over the course of the last year, there's been this pent-up optimism, Josh, that folks really, they want to invest, they want to hire, they want to raise wages here in the United States, but there was a lot of uncertainty. If you rewind to 2017 and the implementation of the tax cuts that President Trump announced at our board meeting, actually, you saw manufacturers supercharged. He called it rocket fuel for manufacturing. It was. We had record investment, we had record job creation, record wage growth, but that kind of came to a halt about a year ago when the question was, will that tax bill be renewed? As soon as it was, you saw the optimism return. So the good news is we're lowering costs for manufacturers in terms of taxes, in terms of regulatory modernization, in terms of energy dominance, but we have some other costs we're dealing with in terms of trade. And so as soon as we see the certainty on that, when the president finally reaches conclusions on various trade agreements that he's trying to negotiate, hopefully USMCA is one of those, I think there'll be no stopping manufacturing investment.
I'm curious, when you talk to folks across the country about the U.S. manufacturing sector, do you feel like a lot of Americans have a really good sense and grip and understanding of just where the sector is and how it's evolved?
What I hear is that people love the idea and the concept of manufacturing more things in America. They like that. What I think folks don't have a good understanding of is what goes into that. What is a supply chain? Where do you get the components that go into a finished good? Why do we even need to deal with other countries? Well, for two reasons. One is sometimes we have to get critical inputs from other countries. In another way we deal with other countries is we want to sell our stuff to them, right? So 95% of the world's customers are outside of the United States. So sure, we can satisfy the domestic market, but we'd sure like to sell things around the world as well. I think that gets lost in a lot of political rhetoric when we're beating up on other countries. I'm not a fan of that, but it happens. And I think folks kind of lose sight of the fact what commerce means worldwide.
How healthy, Jay, is the American manufacturing workforce?
That's a really great question. The workforce that exists is really healthy, meaning we pay more than any other sector of the economy.
In terms of average pay? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Average pay. And not only that, but very little turnover in manufacturing, especially now. People love their jobs, love the challenges that the new technology is creating. But in terms of what we don't have 433,000 jobs filled today. That number has been fairly consistent over the course, every month over the course of the last decade, 2 decades. And that number is going to grow to about 2 million by the year 2033. Now, we are working very hard to fill that gap.
How do we get better as a country, Jay, in training people up for that?
Well, that's part of the issue, right? So you need to have the government helping. So the federal government provides grants. The states execute those grants. They get more focus and more funding for trade schools and technical schools. But it's also on manufacturers, right? We've got to tell the story of what manufacturing is all about. You just were surprised to know that we pay more than any other sector of the economy, right? That story is not out there. And a lot of parents will say to their kids, oh, no, you ought to go look at college for this or that. Don't think about manufacturing, when there's some really great opportunities. We're on a State of Manufacturing tour starting tomorrow. We're starting in Cleveland at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And one of our messages is to young people and their parents throughout the country is, come look at manufacturing as a career. NTT Data is one of our sponsors, and our Manufacturing Institute president, Carolyn Lee, will be giving a State of the Manufacturing Workforce speech at NTT Data to try to get that message out.
In terms of the folks who are working in manufacturing, Jay, what's the breakdown? Is it mostly high school degree, college degree, advanced degree?
Yeah, that's a really great question. And honestly, I didn't even know the answer to that until about 3 or 4 years ago, and I asked that very question. And I found that it's about evenly divided between folks that can get a good job in manufacturing with a high school degree. About a third need maybe technical school of some sort or a 2-year degree from a community college, and then the other third is a division between 4-year degrees and higher level PhDs and others.
I'm curious, Jay, a big question, you've heard this before, is how do we get the cost of making stuff here lower? I mean, can we do that to where, hey, we're more competitive with other countries? Because you know the knock. The knock is often, I'll hear it on the show, no, it's too tough given our labor costs.
Yeah, no, it's not at all, actually. It's a pretty easy formula. I'm actually very proud of the fact that we pay workers in the United States better than any other country in the world. I think it's a good thing, right? I don't want to ever shy away from that. But if we're going to do that, and we make that a hallmark of manufacturing in America, then you got to bring down other costs that you can control.
What are those, Jay?
Taxes is number one, right? If we hadn't renewed that tax bill, then manufacturers definitely would have made decisions that they had to invest that next dollar outside of the country. So we should all be trying to keep the tax burden on manufacturers lower. Regulatory modernization, not getting rid of regulations, but making them sensible, smarter, and less in terms of compliance costs. Small manufacturers today spend $50,000 per employee per year on compliance costs.
Wow.
That's a lot of money, right, for a mom and pop manufacturing facility. Energy costs, big deal. Like, we use 1/3 of the nation's energy. So that is a huge input cost to us, right? And then I would add the other component is, of course, trade and getting certainty around the tariff situation. I can tell you manufacturers don't like tariffs, but the president does. We're going to have them. So our goal and our hope is that we have a plan that's put in place, a finalized plan of whatever the president intends to do in that regard.
Speaking of the president, he has said, I'll end here, Jay, Xi coming to the White House, I believe he said later this year. What would you like to see come into that meeting? What do you want to see discussed?
Wow. So that's a great question. I actually would probably rather focus on the USMCA trade agreement, where one of the improvements that I think the administration is going to want, and I would like us to see, is less transshipments from Canada through Mexico, less transshipments from China through Canada and Mexico. And if we're truly going to have a strong North American manufacturing sector, then China needs to manufacture for other parts of the world, but not the North American market. And that's part of our concern. I would think that a meeting with President Xi and President Trump would be more focused on national security issues and less on how much market share the Chinese could take from us, because I really don't want to see that.
Jay, so good to have you on the show today, especially on set. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate being here.